on Twitter in the middle of all the Meghan Markle debate. I was quite interested in your take on that. Because you were, unless I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you thought there was...
God forbid.
...a racial tinge to some of the coverage, yeah?
I said you couldn't completely confirm whether it was racial or not, but racist or not, the headlines have certainly been on the bias side. They've been quite negative, and I think once you start to feel that way... I think that's the hardest thing with this is how do you prove that, you know, it's racist? It's quite hard to prove, but I think for many people of colour, it's a feeling more so than...
Yeah, but hang on, but this is where I have a problem with this, because... You know, we're going to debate this for hours again today. We've done it all last week. But the point surely is that she's a member of the royal family. She's a public figure. He is too. And they, for 18 months, had tremendously positive coverage. And I would argue, as a journalist, you know, used to run these papers, that the coverage after that didn't suddenly get racist. The coverage got more negative because of their behaviour. Now, how do you cover somebody who is not white in that circumstance without people thinking, as you just said, that subliminally there may be racial bias behind it? When I would genuinely argue, I don't think it had anything to do with it. It was everything to do with their behaviour.
What Alex is saying is this isn't necessarily a matter of opinion, it's a matter of experience.
Yeah, and I think that is where it's quite different. Obviously, I've experienced things, you know, perhaps Ranvir has experienced things.
Sure.
And some things, sometimes it's more of a feeling rather than, you know, black and white proof that it is racist. But as I said to you, and in reply to your tweet, Piers, if you stacked up the positive headlines and the negative headlines...
Yeah, but again...
You know...
No, you see, no, but this is the problem I have with that. This was a BuzzFeed thing where they took 20 headlines.
The Independent have also done it.
Yes, but they're doing it from the perspective of wanting to prove their narrative. Whereas I would say there have been literally 1 million stories on Kate Middleton and 1 million on Meghan Markle.
Yeah, but
let me finish. You can cherry-pick the positives and negatives on both to paint your picture.
But when you compare the headlines with Kate when she was pregnant and Meghan when she was pregnant, it's a similar story.
No, it's not. It's not.
Because it's like the headline that we saw. BuzzFeed told everybody it was in the Daily Mail when they compared the two young footballers, one who'd bought a house for his family and the other went. And it's those things that when you compare them side by side, you say, well, why didn't you just?
You and I had that argument about that at the time. It's a good debate to have. And Raheem Sterling and I have we now interact very interestingly and in a good way about this kind of thing. I totally got where he was coming from. However, you've got to, I think, be able to criticise people like Raheem Sterling, like Meghan Markle, without it always being categorised as potential racism.
Make no mistake, not every headline that was put forward about Meghan Markle was racist.
But there wasn't a single story put forward that was racist.
No, but I'm saying there is a feeling behind it.
I know, but I'm not sure that
the motive as to why it was written that way.
But the feeling is being... I honestly believe, but that feeling didn't exist right through to the wedding.
Saying there is a perception that some of this coverage is tinged with racism.
It doesn't mean it's racist. Sorry, it doesn't. Just because people of colour say it is, they've got to actually show me...
But it doesn't mean it's not racist.
Do you know what?
You're saying it's not.
I'll tell you why.
Tell me why. Explain to me why I'm wrong.
I'll tell you. So my first experience of racism was when I was 6 years old, right? I went to the theatre for the very first time in Preston to watch Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And it was the school trip. And me and my best friend Natalie, right, birthday on the same day, that's how we were really good friends. We went up to the tuck shop thing, you know, the confectionery bit, to go, we had £1 each, and we go right up, she goes first, and of course we're best friends, so we order exactly the same little sweets that we've got for our £1. I'm 6 years old. She gives her £1 to the woman, and she gets her sweets and gets given 50 pence back and walks back to her seat. I give my £1 and I get 10 pence back. And I look at the 10 pence in my hand, and I'm 6 years old, and I look up at this woman, and do you know what she does? She gives me a cold, hard stare back. Just straight at a tiny little brown face, a grown-up woman in the theatre, and I am 6 years old. I don't even know what the word racism means, right? I would never have heard of it. And I look at that, and I felt cold, and I took it in my hand, and I knew something different had happened to me.
The January 2020 discussion on Good Morning Britain between Piers Morgan, Alex Beresford, and Ranvir Singh became a significant moment in the ongoing debate about the media's treatment of Meghan Markle and the implications of racism in the coverage of her story. This episode gained wide attention not only for the heated exchange between the hosts but also for the broader societal issues it highlighted. At the time, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle had announced their decision to step back as senior royals and relocate to Canada for part of the year. This unprecedented move was met with mixed reactions. Supporters saw it as a necessary step to protect their mental health and family, while critics accused the couple of shirking their royal responsibilities. Central to the debate was the role of the British media, which had been accused of targeting Meghan unfairly, with undertones of racism often cited as a driving force behind the negative press. Alex Beresford, a weather presenter on Good Morning Britain, had been vocal about his support for the couple. On this occasion, he took issue with Piers Morgan's relentless criticism of Meghan Markle, which many viewers and commentators had begun to view as excessive and personal. Morgan had, on numerous occasions, criticised Meghan for her decisions, relationships, and even her emotional struggles, often dismissing her claims outright. During the live broadcast, Beresford directly addressed Morgan's behaviour, calling it diabolical, and accusing him of having a personal vendetta against Meghan. He pointed out that Meghan had every right to cut ties with Morgan if she felt their relationship was no longer beneficial. He said, "She's entitled to cut you off if she wants to. Has she said anything about you since she cut you off? I don't think she has, but yet you continue to trash her." Beresford also highlighted the overwhelming amount of negative press Meghan had faced since her engagement to Prince Harry, particularly focusing on the racial undertones in the media coverage. He argued that such coverage had clearly taken a toll on Meghan's mental health, as well as on Prince Harry, who had been very open about the trauma he experienced following the death of his mother, Princess Diana. Beresford made a poignant comparison between Prince William and Prince Harry, noting that while William might have coped better with their shared childhood trauma, it was unfair to expect Harry to react in the same way. He said, "Siblings experience tragedy in their life, and one will be absolutely fine and brush it off, and the other will not be able to deal with it so strongly, and that is clearly what has happened with Harry." Morgan, known for his controversial and often confrontational style, appeared unable to handle Beresford's pointed critique. During the exchange, he abruptly walked off the set, stating, "Okay, I'm done with this," before leaving the studio. This moment, which went viral, highlighted the tension within the Good Morning Britain team and underscored the divisive nature of the Meghan Markle debate in the UK. Morgan later returned to the set, but the incident marked a turning point in the public's perception of his coverage of Meghan Markle. Many viewers supported Beresford, applauding him for standing up to Morgan and speaking out against the media's treatment of Meghan. Ranvir Singh, another host on the show, brought her own experiences as a woman of South Asian descent to the conversation. She expressed empathy for Meghan Markle and acknowledged the role racism likely played in the media's portrayal of her. Singh noted that the societal pressures and biases faced by Meghan were not dissimilar to those faced by women of colour in other contexts, including her own. Her comments added depth to the discussion, emphasizing the intersectionality of race, gender, and media bias. This debate on Good Morning Britain reflected a larger cultural moment in the UK, where conversations about racism, privilege, and media ethics were becoming increasingly prominent. Meghan and Harry's decision to step back from royal duties and the reasons behind it, particularly the toxic media environment, sparked widespread discussions about the role of the monarchy, the treatment of women of colour in public life, and the responsibility of the press to report fairly. For many, Beresford's critique of Morgan was a refreshing acknowledgement of these issues. His willingness to confront a powerful media figure on live television resonated with viewers who felt that Meghan had been unfairly vilified by the press. His comments about Harry's mental health and the lingering trauma of Princess Diana's death also shed light on the human cost of life in the public eye. The January 2020 episode became one of the most memorable moments in Good Morning Britain history. It marked a shift in the public discourse surrounding Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, with more people beginning to question the role of racism and bias in their treatment by the media. The debate also highlighted the importance of addressing mental health issues openly and with compassion, particularly for individuals in high-profile positions. In the years since, this moment has been revisited as a pivotal example of the challenges faced by those who dare to challenge traditional power structures and societal norms. For Meghan and Harry, it underscored the reasons behind their decision to step back from royal life and focus on their mental health and family well-being. For Alex Beresford, the exchange solidified his reputation as a thoughtful and courageous voice willing to stand up for what he believes in, even in the face of significant opposition. For Piers Morgan, it was a moment that exposed the limits of his confrontational style and foreshadowed his eventual departure from Good Morning Britain following further controversies related to his coverage of Meghan Markle. Thank you for watching. We've seen how the 2020 Good Morning Britain debate between Piers Morgan and Alex Beresford highlighted key issues surrounding media treatment, racism, and mental health, particularly in relation to Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's decision to step back from royal duties. The discussion resonated deeply with audiences, showcasing the importance of addressing media bias and mental health with empathy and understanding. We appreciate your time and engagement in this conversation. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts below.